Kids Comics Unite is a friendly, free community of children's graphic novel creators who are serious about improving their work and building their careers. This month, we're excited to highlight some of our members' crowdfunding campaigns as part of our partnership with crowdfundr.com. Our very own Patrick Lugo will be hosting these streams. Patrick, take it away!
Hi all, welcome to the second official Kids Comics Unite live stream spotlight. We're doing this live this summer in conjunction with Crowdfundr, and we've been having some really exceptional talent joining us to promote their campaigns. It's been exciting, and I'm happy that we have some viewers joining us. On the topic of Kids Comics Unite, I want to remind folks that Jana Morishima, the founder of our group, is having a workshop specifically oriented towards maximizing your online presence in the form of your artist illustrator website. Our registration is closing very soon, so I really recommend that you folks hop on over to the website down there, check out the class, and do yourself a favor and join. So with that said, let's jump straight into our special guest today. I'm personally excited that he's here because his project is called A Goblin Knight. And as those of you who know me know, I'm a big fan of all sorts of fantasy and mythical creatures and the like. So it's kind of right up my alley. But if you want to know more, let's start by playing a video which explains the who and the why of our guest. Let's do that right now.
Hi there, I'm Christian Nelson, and I'm looking for your help to continue my story, The Goblin Knight. I've been dreaming up this 4-part story for years. Now it is all written, the first book is done, and it's time to move on to book 2. This all-ages story was inspired by those fantasy movies where evil overlords boss around their faceless goons, like the Goblin King in Labyrinth or Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. It got me thinking, what's it like for those disposable minions? And what if one of them stood up to their tyrannical boss? That's where Bogra comes in. She's a kind, brave, and outgoing goblin guard who wants to protect her fellow goblins from the humans they've been told want to invade. But when she angers the king of the goblins, she finds herself banished to the terrifying human kingdom. Bogra quickly learns what she's been told about humans is wrong, and that humans also have the wrong idea about goblins. She befriends a human named Camilla and her brother Derek. Bogra believes she can help goblins and humans live in harmony, but she will have to convince the human king of her good intentions. To do this, she has 1 year to become a knight, to prove herself honorable and trustworthy. I am really excited about bringing this story to life. I really believe in it. It has both lovable characters and characters you will love to hate. It has tales of friendship, comedy, mystery, and adventure. The first book is done, and I have also tackled a project this big before. Last year, I finished a 159-page comic book called Hux and the Hunters. And with your help, I can finish my second book and get it into the hands of more readers and move closer to completing the story of Bogra, the Goblin Knight. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll join us on this adventure.
Thanks, Christian. Let's have you here live. So let's just imagine that you've got some applause going on. Great job on the video. I really appreciated it. But you know, since we're here live, I thought before we start anything, because I really want to know about how you got to where you are. But let's start with a quick pitch, right? Some people call it the elevator pitch. Some people have been calling it your convention pitch, right? If you were at San Diego Comic-Con, which is happening this week, right? And you had your table, what are you going to say to that person who happens to lean over and, you know, start flipping through one of your copies?
Oh, yeah. This is a story for just fans of those great 80s films, Jim Henson, type stories. It's about a goblin kingdom and a human kingdom divided by a river. Once a year, the river dries out, and there's always a danger of an attack. Both sides fear each other, but our main hero, Bogra, gets banished to the human kingdom, and she finds out what she heard about humans isn't true, and she has 1 year to become the first Goblin Knight before the river dries up again, to create peace between the two kingdoms, sort of prove her worth in the story. So it's a story about friendship, those great old adventure kind of tales, and that's the basic pitch. If friendship can sort of save the day between those kind of in that situation.
I love it, and maybe it's my mischievous nature, but I kind of also like to put folks on the spot a little bit and really test that ability to deliver a quick pitch, right? Because you never know when you're going to have that comic in the back of your car or in your backpack, and we're here to talk about how we're here to talk about your project, but by way of crowdfunding, right? Because here you are, there's your campaign URL. You are crowdfunding as a part of the Crowdfundr Summer Spotlight for kid creators. But before we go into detail about that, I know that you've mentioned some of what you've learned over the course of getting to this point. So how do you feel about sharing some of that?
This is my second comic book project. I started the other one a little while ago, was Hux and the Hunters. Original. It's gone through many different titles, and I started this comic book years ago. I had no plan other than I wanted to make a comic book, a graphic novel, and I thought it would only take me 1 year. It ended up taking me 7 whole years to complete, and when I finished it, it took me another 3 years to work out how I'm going to get it out into the public. So it was a very long process. So I got to learn a lot. So working on with Bogra, the Goblin Knight, I learned a lot of lessons, how to make a book a lot more quicker, how to make a plan, and a lot of time-saving tools and tricks and things like that. So I made a little presentation just to organize my thoughts too. I can show.
That's awesome, because I too took forever to get my graphic novels out there. I'm super slow, and I definitely, no matter how hard I try and make my work efficient, I have more than once found myself zooming in to like 500% to just get those bricks in there that no one's gonna ever see, because 500%. But that's one of my own quirks that I thought I'd share. But yeah, I would love to get a glimpse of what you had to say. But let's take a quick look at some comments, right? Lisa, I mentioned our Kids Comics Unite workshop, so maybe you could put a link to that in the chat so folks might check it out. And then Roger McMullen also loved the video. Love the new and improved lighting and setup.
Oh, thanks to my wife.
Oh, excellent. And then Lisa once again wants to know some of these lessons that you've learned. So if you are ready to share your presentation.
Oh, sure. I'm just going to hit present. So I think I can just share screen. Screen sharing works.
So you would have the option if it's in a different tab or if it's in a different window.
Okay. Oh. I think start sharing.
Hi,
screen.
Ashley and Jeff.
Oh, okay. So I will. All right, so this is sort of the first page
And here
introduction.
we are.
Yeah, so the first book I made was very difficult, and my second book was less very difficult, basically on this one. So I'll start off with the making of Hux, and I guess not mistakes, but lessons I learned through challenges on this one. So when I started the book, it took me 7 years to complete when I thought it was only going to take one. One of the issues was I had to remake the start and end of the book twice after I'd already drawn it out, just to get the story to work, to get to a place where I was very happy with it at the end. But I had to redo a lot more stuff than planning it out in advance. I started making the book. I had no idea how to sell it or who to talk to about it. After I had finished the book, I waited 2 years even to put it on Amazon. Just I got confused just about the paperwork and the legality, so I was just nervous about doing that. And I didn't use the best tools for myself when I was making the book at the time, things that slowed me down. I had a lot of ambition for the book, but I didn't have much of a plan. And again, I was trying to do everything myself. I wasn't going out there looking for help. So some of the things I learned that ended up being a lot more helpful working on the Goblin Knight is to have a goal in mind. So if you're working, you're not just sort of floating around. You're not really sure where your destination is. It's like a map. You have sort of an idea where you want to go. And even if your goal just is, I just want to draw a page a day, I don't want to have an end to the story, that's good. But then you have an idea, that's what I want to do, and you know you're doing the right thing. You don't feel lost. So with Hux, my only goal was to make a book people would want to read, but I didn't really think that much about it. I didn't think about who it was for, where I was going to sell it. So for the Goblin Knight, my goal was to create an old ages fantasy story. I want to make something that I loved as a kid, so that like a new generation will discover these kind of stories and maybe even discover those other stories I grew up with as well. It's sort of an introduction. So that's sort of the goal with this story, and I want to get this one done in about a year, finish the whole story if possible. So that's a start, have an idea. And then when you sort of have a plan, you got to get your schedule to the test. So with Hux, I had no, I thought I'd get it done in a year. I didn't bother doing like a test page saying, how long does it take me to get a page done? How long does it take me to write? And with this one, the Goblin Knight, I sort of time myself. This is how long it takes me to get a page done, a rough and ink and color it out. I have my scripts finished, so I don't have to worry about that. Everything's plotted out. And again, like you were talking about detail, with Hux, I was drawing every tree out in the horizon. And so does that really help tell the story I want to do? If you're obsessed with artwork, if that's what your book's about, then do that. Then that's okay. But if you're more interested in telling a story, maybe change your artwork. For this one, I made it a lot more cartoony, which it gives the characters, I think, more personality. Acting is better, and it's quicker and a little bit cleaner, easier to read than Hux. I was going more for highly detailed. And again, just doing a test page, and you make sure everything's set up properly that before you send to a printer. Just do one rough page. Don't even make a finished page, so you're not wasting hours. You just do like a test page. Okay, yeah, all your measurements work. That's the kind of file we want. So you don't have to go back and redo a lot of work, which is something I had to do with Hux all the time. So some time-saving tips that I've learned is to take your work one step at a time. Hux, when I'd written it, the script ended up being about 160 pages. And sometimes when I would sit down to draw, and I was looking at all these blank pages I had to finish, I would just give up on that day. It would be too big. I wouldn't just focus on, well, today, don't worry about every page, just get this one panel done. Or if not that panel, get this face done, this hand, just this layout. Break it up into smaller pieces. There's a great expression, inch by inch, life is a cinch, yard by yard is very hard. So that's just a very chipping away at it slowly, and one day you'll look up and you're almost done, or you'll be finished. But if you're just waiting for huge chunks of time, you won't get that in there. Another one was asking for help. When I started working with my wife, she helped me rewrite it. The story became a lot better. Showing it to other people with suggestions on Hux, it immediately started working a lot faster. I started talking to other businesses, other writers who had published. They told me how to get it on Amazon, because I was just thought I could do this all by myself. Asking for help makes it way easier. Even if you're looking up on websites, don't just read the website. If you don't understand it, look at their FAQ, look at their contact info, phone people, go out and chat with people. They want to help you, explain what they want, and they'll make like something that seems confusing seem a lot less scary. So yeah, help. You won't be able to do it by yourself. You are going to need help with all the things. And again, this is asking for help. Yeah, the printers, shipping companies. My last campaign, even, I didn't know too much about shipping. This time I looked out and I found this great one called Chit Chats for shipping. And I got to talk to them, and they had a great deal, and they're very helpful. And I got a lower price, how to send stuff out. So I think that makes it better for my campaign. So there's lots of great ways that way. And another thing is, for the Goblin Knight, I pretty much plotted out the whole story bus stops with a notebook. So if you think I don't have time to work, if you're at a dentist office, bring a notebook, thumbnail your stuff, plan, do your writing, especially when you're bored. I think that's when you come up with the best ideas. Just always have a pen. Waiting for the bus, subway, at the doctor's office, your lunch break, any little piece of dead time. Don't wait for like, I have 6 hours, that's the time I'm going to use it. Just getting that little bit of time in every day, it keeps it fresh in your head, and you work a lot faster. You don't give up. And the most important thing is mistakes will happen. Sometimes you're so obsessed with getting everything done perfectly or not making mistakes, you don't do anything. You freeze up. That's what I did a lot with Hux. Mistakes will happen. They'll be frustrating, but they're going to be very valuable. And the next time it'll be a lot easier. And sometimes you just have to move forward, knowing you're going to make mistakes, and you'll fix them later. You'll deal with them at the time. So I guess that's about it, just for the lessons of what I've learned from Hux. I'll just stop sharing. Oh, is there a... Oh, there you go. Oh, am I back? Okay. So those are just some of the tips that I learned working on Hux, which I was really happy how it turned out and everything. But if I had to redo it, I could probably do it in a year now versus 7 with what I've learned.
That's pretty amazing. I think I'm not the only one who's impressed. So here's a few comments, right? They're awesome. Well, some of them, oh, here we go. Great question to ask yourself. Does this help tell my story? Do you want to elaborate a little bit about that sort of decision making, Christian?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Always, myself personally, I'm always interested in the audience. Is this clear to the story? Is it something that's needed? A joke sometimes is needed, just a little bit of levity. If you had something like a dark scene in the story, a joke, but visuals. If, again, like I was saying, do I need every shingle on this tree or something in the background? Usually, I learned just get one really good panel just to really establish the world, and after that, you can be a little bit more rough, because the person's brain has picked up what the world looks like. They fill it in if you put a little bit less detail on the other pages. Yeah, and there's everything I'm doing progressing the story for my kind of story. There are many different types of ones. Some comics are just about being in the moment, just showing every detail. There's some great manga out there, just like they show like a close up of a bug flipping its or buzzing its wings, which is great too. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have a goal. What kind of story is it that I want to tell? So with the other ones, I was sometimes I was going a little bit too far in detail, and I had to cut a lot of stuff out with that one. Another tip I had is also make sure you're using the right tools. Are you wasting a lot of time using the wrong tools? The first, with Hux, I used a Flash, if you can believe, to illustrate the whole book, which is not an illustration program, it's animating. And I was, if I had moved on to something like Sketchbook Pro, which is what I'm using now, that saves a ton of time, and it doesn't crash every 2 minutes like Flash was when I was working through that one. So yeah, be willing to look for new techniques to match what it is you want to get done in the time you want to do it.
That's excellent. Well, I'm excited to take a closer look at the world that you've built at the below URL. But what I want to do, I'm going to screen share that campaign. But what I want to do is let folks have a second look at the video while I set up that screen share, so that people can get, anyone who's joined us late can have an idea of what to expect. So let me press play, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Hi there, I'm Christian Nelson, and I'm looking for your help to continue my story, The Goblin Knight. I've been dreaming up this 4-part story for years. Now it is all written, the first book is done, and it's time to move on to book 2.
This all-ages story was inspired by those fantasy movies where evil overlords boss around their faceless goons, like the Goblin King in Labyrinth or Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. It got me thinking, what's it like for those disposable minions? And what if one of them stood up to their tyrannical boss? That's where Bogra comes in. She's a kind, brave, and outgoing goblin guard who wants to protect her fellow goblins from the humans they've been told want to invade. But when she angers the king of the goblins, she finds herself banished to the terrifying human kingdom. Bogra quickly learns what she's been told about humans is wrong, and that humans also have the wrong idea about goblins. She befriends a human named Camilla and her brother Derek. Bogra believes she can help goblins and humans live in harmony, but she will have to convince the human king of her good intentions. To do this, she has 1 year to become a knight, to prove herself honorable and trustworthy.
I am really excited about bringing this story to life. I really believe in it. It has both lovable characters and characters you will love to hate. It has tales of friendship, comedy, mystery, and adventure. The first book is done, and I have also tackled a project this big before. Last year, I finished a 159-page comic book called Hux and the Hunters. And with your help, I can finish my second book and get it into the hands of more readers and move closer to completing the story of Bogra, the Goblin Knight. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll join us on this adventure.
And we're back with your campaign page in sight. There's the video that we've just had the pleasure of watching. And look at this great news. You are at 47% of your goal with 20 days left. That's how's it feel to be cresting the halfway point? But before you answer that, I want to know, is this your first crowdfunding campaign ever?
No, actually, this is my second crowdfunding campaign. My first one was actually inspired by Hux. As part of it, going out and meeting people to promote it, I made one monster drawing that would come with each book. And those drawings were so popular, just to the monsters by themselves, I got the idea to make a book with 100 original monsters. And I made a crowdfunder for that, and it reached its goal. I've drawn all 100 monsters are done, but I'm just inking and coloring the last 43. So the book will be out there very soon. So it's just like I think the word is a bestiary or
A
of
bestiary?
bestiary of monsters, and they all appear in the book Hux that sort of show in the background because it's a world full of monsters.
And you've posted some of those on your socials, if I recall correctly.
That's correct.
Right
On the book.
On Instagram, and there was one monster in particular which really stood out to me because it's rarely depicted in modern days, but it has a special place in my little world of comics. But we're not here to talk about my comics, we're here to talk about your comics. So I'm also very excited by your monster design. I'm gonna have to hunt down a copy of 100 Monsters, but we're not talking about that book. See how easily distracted I am? Terrible. But let me just blame goblins for my my state of mind right now, and let's take a look at what we have here. Right, a fun adventure for all ages. It's about finding out your place in the world, no matter how unexpected. So you've got this is books 1 and 2. The covers for books 1 and 2. Is that correct?
That's correct. Book 1 is all done, all 25 pages. So you can get that one, and book 2 should be done pretty soon. The whole script, all 4 books are written out, so the scripts are all are done and planned out from beginning to end, and so it will be a 4-part story. You get a complete story with it. So if I meet the goal and anything above it will help me have more money and time just to get the next 2 books done as well. Will also be very helpful.
Oh yes, and then here we have some preview page. Oh no, it's not preview pages. It's just a short little hint. Can you?
Oh yeah. So first story. They say if you love your characters, put them through the ringer. So Bogra's all alone on the human kingdom. She's separated by her home for 1 year by a river. And one of the problems is she cannot stand human food. So that's sort of an issue here. It's sort of the discovery, humans and goblins learning about each other. They've been afraid of each other for generations, but they never actually met. So this is sort of the heart of the story, is the friendship between Camilla and Bogra here. Camilla also wants to become a knight as well. And there's a little bit of jealousy in this, spoilers, of the fact that Bogra is suddenly allowed into the Knights Academy when she hasn't been as well.
It sounds like some potential drama. And here we have more preview pages. Are you doing all the art? Is this 100% you? From thumbnails to letters and colors?
Yes, the artwork is. I'm working with my wife on the story and the beats with that one. But yeah, it's all done digitally this time, which is a lot quicker using Sketchbook Pro. And I've just been trying to improve my art as much as possible, take as many little tutorials as well to improve it, and a lot more cartoony and life drawing. I'm an animator by day, so a new show I'm working at just really helping improve my posing and everything. It's sort of inspired by European comics, kind of like the Smurfs. There's like a Smurf village. I love that. So it's sort of like a goblin village.
Rather than blue, you went with green.
Yeah. I love green's my favorite color, and I just love creatures like gremlins. I loved quote unquote the goons from Maleficent. I'm not sure if you remember those little imps from Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, yeah.
It sort of inspired their sort of like little pig design, and again, Labyrinth, the goblin village in that one that David Bowie was the king of, was there. So in here you can sort of see that the Goblin Kingdom is slowly dying. Every year they're preparing for war, but they're destroying their environment as well. So there's also sort of a ticking clock on that. If Bogra doesn't make peace between them before the river dries out next year, there's a chance that the goblins might all starve because they're ruining their croplands. That's sort of the setup in this one. So,
so high drama, and look at that. I mean, that underwater scene is just so lovely. So your color work is really exceptional, and I see we have a few backers here who've had a few things to say. We have let's look at your campaigns along the side, right? So we have here, scrolling back to the very top, we've got your books 1 and 2 as an ebook bundle. Am I
Yeah,
reading that correctly?
that's correct. Yeah.
Very cool. So how many pages does that amount to in
It,
total
it,
for the
50 pages in total, and sort of like a little preview blurb image at the end. So maybe 25 comic pages, or 50 comic book pages in total. 50.
Oh, excellent. And we have another question. Sketchbook Pro, Christian, is that a paid software?
Oh, that was actually a free download when I got it. I'm not sure if it's still that way, but I find it really a great program to work with. You can get beautiful, smooth lines with it, and for coloring different brushes, getting those different textures for like sand versus stone, or something more cartoony. I tried to copy that cartoony look of the backgrounds being more detailed, but the characters just very flat shaded, just like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of look for the style in that one.
And here's another comment. Before, in the writing of Hux and the Hunters, Christian used to do all pages as huge pencil drawing panels, and not so to Goblin Knight comics.
Yeah, no. When I did Hux, that's another thing that took a lot of time. I put them on these huge Bristol boards. I didn't have a scanner big enough to scan them all, so I had to scan half a page, and the other half.
Hold that up one more time? I want to take a closer look.
Sorry. So I had to scan half, and then the other half, and then stitch them together on the computer, and then digitally ink it afterwards.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a beautiful set of pencils, but yeah, those struggles are real.
Yeah. So yeah, I have 150 pages. It's quite heavy.
It adds up, and then if you were to go to like an office place where they can scan it for you, that'll add up price wise, right?
Yes, yeah. And then you don't have those big scanners that you can buy anymore. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
the Goblin. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
The question on the thing. It's going to be 100 pages in total when I get all 4 books done.
That's excellent. And so with regards to watching the video again, people are liking the synopsis without the spoilers. So far, so good. Yeah, I found like I do art in a really strange way. I tend to do my comics one panel at a time. Like I'll break down the thumbnails, do a basic layout, but then for the sake of my scanner, I'll draw just the panels and then scan them and then assemble them digitally. So like whatever it takes to get the comic done, that's what matters. But let's go back to your comics. So now we have book 1 as a physical copy, or book 2 as a physical copy.
Yeah, for anyone who just bought the first one by itself. So the
right,
first one is out there.
Come buy do you have any let's see.
Oh, the first book is on Amazon. It's a little bit cheaper to get it on the Crowdfundr if you want a copy of the physical first book as well. But the better deal is Crowdfundr.
So okay, let's unpack that a little bit. So if you want just book 1, even though it's available on Amazon, it would actually be less expensive to get it from Crowdfundr.
Right now, yes.
Right now, so that's a pretty. That's pretty sweet. So let me just make sure people know where to go, right? And then if they want book 2 will only be available through Crowdfundr. Is that my understanding?
Yeah.
And then considering, how well your campaign's doing so far, books 3 and 4 will come down the pipe as well on Crowdfundr.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then now let's look at this, because this is a bold maneuver here. There are a few who are willing to take the plunge into plush. So tell me a little bit about how this is looking.
I found a great artist on Etsy who makes stuffed animals or plush dolls based off your illustrations. So these are the designs that I sent her. I'm just waiting for a few images to come in. And so if enough money is raised for that. You'll be able. There'll be just 3, so limit of 3 of actual little a Bogra doll in her original goblin uniform, right here, when she's not in her knight uniform, but in the first outfit she's wearing at the start of the book. And if this does really well, the next one will be her in the knight costume.
That's excellent. And then, at some point down the line, right, you could, I don't know, design her to have like the reversible suit or something. I don't know. I love the idea. I think it's really exciting to see these sorts of possibilities, and the fact that it's going to be a handcrafted item, only 3 made, right? So you're being supported as an artist. Your efforts are supporting another artist, right? So it's so essential. Let's see this. Look, Marie. Hi, Marie just contributed under her pen name, Rowena Zanrai, also on Crowdfundr. She loves stories like Gummy Bears, Smurfs, and Labyrinth.
I love the gummy bears. I won't start singing the song or I'll get stuck in everyone's head. But
oh yeah, just get that out there, right? You
Yeah,
could have put it in your video just to keep people thinking about it.
yeah,
But
I
that's
did want
excellent. Thanks for the support, Marie. Like we've talked a lot about how you can't have crowdfunding without the crowd, right? And that's so essential that independent artists such as ourselves, work together and support each other where we can, how we can. So let's look at some of these other tiers. Free delivery of book 1 for Toronto. Are you gonna like hand it off personally? That'd be cool.
That's the goal. So if anyone's in the Toronto area and you're worried shipping's a little bit too much, I will show up, or you can come meet me someplace, and we can, if you want a coffee or something as well, I'll be there, and maybe do a little sketch or doodle as well with it. I am also planning on including 1 free sketch with every physical book sold as well. I was going to make an announcement. Doesn't change the price or anything. It'll come automatically. So,
all right, hold on. Well, let's make that announcement, right? We need to give you the solo layout for this, right? Because this is important breaking news, right? So, if I had a soundboard, I'd be giving you like the ticker tape sound for the breaking news, but I won't embarrass us by trying to do it verbally. So, I'll just let you make that announcement now.
Every physical copy of the book will come with like an original little goblin sketch of a different goblin and their name, with the name of the goblin. So those will be quite a few random ones. Same as like the 100 Monsters. There'll be quite a few different goblins, depending on how many books are sold. So you'll get little signed little postcard size, original drawing, pencil and ink of a little goblin and their name underneath it.
So backers could literally be goblinized over the course of this campaign. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes.
That's fantastic. Here's another comment. People who read Hawks and the Hunters put nice comments in Amazon. They observe the way Christian and the lines mix fun with social issue. Oh, that's Christian and Ines. I'm sorry. I had some stuff on my screen, my monitor. Anyway, it's live, right? We make mistakes. There's no editing this out in post. So let me start again. People who read Hux and the Hunters put nice comments on Amazon. They observed the way Christian and Ines mix fun with social issues like oppression, fake news, collective power, and women power, and so on. So one more reason why to really take a look at your work.
Yeah, I do like my story. Science fiction and fantasy is just the fantastical is a nice introduction for young readers to, and maybe just tell really human stories as well, but just with a really neat visual. And I just love drawing monsters, but have a lot of heart in the story. This one, again, is a lot about the friendship between Bogra and Camilla, and just the understanding that's going to come between the two kingdoms. I don't want to spoil too much, but that is a lot about with the heart. Fox and the Hound, or How to Train Your Dragon, just really good kind of friendship stories between the two of them, and two characters learning about each other is kind of the stories I really liked growing up, as well as those sort of just the action as well.
That's awesome. And I mean, you mentioned not wanting to spoil things, right? And that's kind of like the dilemma that we all kind of face, especially as we're like promoting our own work. Like, this is something I was literally today writing about. Like, I want to update my backers on pages that I've colored, but then how do I show them those pages if those colored pages are going to spoil a scene, right? Like, how do you do that? How do you thread that needle? So
maybe just put those black box, like those redacted ones they put on government.
that's why I've been making liberal use of like the mosaic filter to make them all pixelated, like a witness protection style.
Yeah, you don't find out who's the secret twin brother or something.
Exactly. Or what I've been doing lately is just speeding up the footage. Like, if it's a screen recording, I just speed it up so fast that you see that something's happening, but you can't really see what it is.
So only the most obsessive fans will just go frame
I know
frame.
whoever's gonna slow, if they're willing to download that video, slow it down to find that detail, then they deserve that detail.
It means your story's doing something right.
Exactly. Oh, well, actually, what I ended up doing is because whatever, I'm going to take an hour-long piece of footage and bring it down to 1 minute. I usually have to export like a 10-minute version, halfway through. So I have a 10-minute version where you can pretty much see quite a lot of the coloring process and all the details. So it'll give away the story, but I've got that like hidden away in YouTube. So if you want to see it, you'd be spoiling yourself. But then if you're just more casual, right, there's the 1 minute version where you can kind of see it, but it's over too quickly to catch the details.
Yeah, that's another new thing I've learned, video editing skills. I've never done that before, so that's a new thing you have to learn nowadays. They're just a little more popular, those drawing of videos, learning how to speed that up. That is a new thing. It's actually pretty easy to, not super easy, but yeah, they make it very user friendly nowadays compared to what it was years ago. It's a little more frightened, but this is a good era to make comics or do your own social media with the programs they built for people.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I've been encountering this a lot. Like, everyone feels like comics right now is booming in a lot of interesting ways, right? Like, you still have your regular comics at the comic shop, right? But even that, there's like, used to be only on Wednesdays, right? Only one distributor. Now it's just like multiple distributors, multiple days. Then you have the bookstores, right? Then you have the big scholastic level graphic novels.
Yeah.
And then now you have like the third branch. Well, I guess web comics is the third branch. And then crowdfunding, right? This that whole indie comic self-produced endeavor is a whole fourth branch. And they don't always overlap, right? It's rare that you might see a crowdfunded comic in a comic shop, although they occasionally happen. And then there's a lot of comic readers who support crowdfunded comics who will never go in a comic shop. They just want that book sent right to them, and they're willing to pay a little extra in shipping, etc. So really exciting time, but there's a lot to navigate, a lot of demands being put on every artist.
Yeah, working in the animation industry, you meet those types of fans of every one of those groups. I have one friend who he's a big supporter of crowdfunded style books too. So it's nice just to see the different audiences out there that you can that are looking for your stuff, which is really nice. And yeah, I really like all ages. The niche of all ages books, just the idea of just making a new generation of fans for comics too, is one thing I really like about comics for kids. Just because I just love these so much. They taught me how to read, basically. I couldn't read at one grade and just got a whole bunch of comics. Became the best reader in my class just because of that.
Oh yeah, same here. Like the word and picture association, and it's so you know, I remember when I was younger and comics was so eager to grow up, right? And comics, you know, comics are for adults now, they used to say. And then now here we are full circle, right? Comics are for kids again.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
comics are better for it, right? Like the
Mhm.
the the range, you know, the potential. And and more
So,
goblins. So tell me, what's your favorite work of fantasy outside of mainstream media?
oh dear. Hmm. So,
Curveball coming right at you,
oh,
right?
dear. I had this one. Jeff Smith think I did Bone. Barbarian Lord actually a little while ago that
By Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a mix of He-Man, Conan the Barbarian, uh, uh, hyper violent but very poetically written.
Right. I read it. I'm a big fan of that
Yeah,
particular book also because what you say about poetic, like
yeah,
half of the battles are kind of like the Viking equivalent of rap battles, right? Where it's not
exactly.
fisticuff or sword play, it's just who can outwit the other
Yeah,
in
it's a
verbally, right?
mhm, turn of a phrase. They're very clever reading that one, and just the references, yeah, the old Masters of the Universes and other type. You can see it in the design. It's not an exact copy, but that's definitely inspired by this character or that one going through it. So yeah, that, and I'm not sure if I guess Bone. It wasn't mainstream when it first came out, but that was a huge influence on me. I got the single issues as I was growing up. My sister and I both loved that book. Then we got the full tome at the end. It was all done.
Yeah,
Um,
I just recently got the full color omnibus because,
mhm.
it's been so long. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have that in one place at one time? So
Yeah, I always
those are pretty.
yeah, it's always bittersweet when I finish a story. It's really good. It has a the ends of the story is always a little bit sad to me when they're finished.
Yeah. Yeah, or that he did that he also did that graphic novel, like that hardcover graphic novel Rose that was like set in the Bone universe, but a little bit more mature. That was also
Yeah, and a nice
amazing.
yeah, filling the details of what had happened before, yeah, which was very good. I love that
Oh
one as
yeah,
well. Yeah, and
that was some
stupid rat tails was another one. I just the story
stupid.
of the Bones' uncle who was a hunter. That
Wow, I'll have to look for that one.
yeah,
Um
that's
yeah, we're gonna, we could probably spend oh, check this out. Hi, Bonnie. Someone's showing up. Looking forward to reading her copy soon. That's so excellent. Yeah, we
thank
could
you.
go off, I think, on just like comparing notes on like fantasy. Like, I kind of think fantasy is one of the genres that's really like coming back strong in comics. Like not just um the typical like rebuilding of like a retelling of a fairy tale, but just like full on people are just building their own worlds and putting it out there. And I don't know, I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, yeah, just all different ways. People get so creative with fantasy. Even magic, how they make different rules and it works out. They've come up with some really cool stuff, mixing it more with uh, sci-fi and some of the mixing genres and just finding that little part of the story, that those tropes, and just sort of expanding on it. Well, what happens? What does this little thing about mean? Or just expanding on it. That's sort of where Goblin Knight came from. You had all these faceless goons. Um, um, what was their life like? That's kind of thing. Lord of the Rings, even. You had these orcs. Like, well, how do their like? What do they eat? What's their agriculture? When they're not fighting, do they care about each other? Do they have families and friends? That sort of was the inspiration for Bogra and the Goblin Knight. Actually, is what are the lives of these goblins like? What's going on? And I always found them a little bit sympathetic because they're evil overlords. Whenever they made a mistake, they'd throw lightning bolts at them or chase them around. And they're always so eager to please the evil king or something. Or even like Black Cauldron, David Bowie kicking the little goblins around. And trying to think of some other, I don't recall some other ones, but just people know those ones. Those sort of those goons, and they said, well, or the minions, they do have the lives of their own, and when you sort of see it, the goblins even see the humans as faceless group of people as well. So it is sort of both sides sort of learning when Bogra crosses the river in the story. This way, that when two people meet each other as individuals instead of a group, they can what's the word? Identify with each other a lot faster. Yeah.
So Bonnie has a lot to say. She loves the world building, imagining different ways of living for kids to consider, which I think is a really interesting point. Like how a child is going to look at these new stories. And here's another one: write a book, writing a book is a way to improve as humans because writers become aware of the huge varying possibilities of interpretation and choose what kind of beliefs we want kids to read. Any thoughts on that one?
Definitely. If just changing perspective on something can really change a story. What is it? Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Like that's just like a total retelling of Hamlet, just from the point of these two characters. This story all changes. Wicked was another one. It's just the story of Wizard of Oz, but told by the witch's perspective, was a nice one. Or even the Maleficent movie, which that's one thing I didn't like about Maleficent is they took the goons out, the little minions.
I know excited to see them work too, right?
Yeah, those little great characters with. So they weren't in that one. They were to see them in live action. So this is close you'll get to see, I suppose. See them. That's the good guys here.
That's just another missed opportunity by Disney.
Yeah.
And look at that. Another fan of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. That's pretty great. And Lisa also wants to share how exciting this all is, right? Looking forward to seeing your campaign reach its goal. Yes, we should actually take a moment while we've been talking to take a look at that campaign again. So what I'm going to do is refresh that screen so that we can get an up-to-date look and then add it here to see, like, do you recall where we were when we started? Did I say that we were at 47%?
Yeah, $477, I think.
And so here we are. We have hit the 50% mark over the course
past the halfway point.
Stream. That is amazing.
Sorry.
So that's what we're trying to achieve here, right? Yeah. So folks, go to crowdfundr.com/Goblin Knight so that you can be a part of this epic quest and story of friendship and valor, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, exactly. I completely forgot. Sorry, I had one more thing about Bogra. I forgot what it was, the character. But sorry, but thank you. That's really nice to see that past the halfway point.
It's awesome, and you have 20 more days to really, keep getting the word out there. Just like sharing your monster designs alone is going to be so much fun. So it's, it's also, if anyone wants to, let me remind folks, if anyone wants to check out some of those monster designs, I like them. I'll be honest, I did a screen capture of one in particular because I was so like, oh, someone did this monster, but we'll talk about that off the air. Okay. So yeah, that's your Instagram, right? For anyone who wants to see some monsters. And what else is going on your socials? Are you doing any behind the scenes
Oh yeah, I was posting just work on the cover as I was completing it, just layer by layer. This is the one where I was putting a lot of detail in the far off background, drawing every tree sort of situation. But yeah, I'm going to start putting up my thumbnails for the comic, and just any other little illustrations as I do them. The next story is going to start off. Bogra's going to have to run a gauntlet, basically, just to basically the physical test for the to even be allowed into the academy. So that's sort of the first challenge she's going to have to face. So people can make comments if what they think it's what they think about it. It's basically those gauntlets where they have to run, get those weights on the rope swinging behind, they have to jump that, climb the fence. So we'll see how she does on that one.
It's kind of an American Ninja Warrior style course.
Yeah, to prove she can protect herself and save other people. So if she has to pass the physical test. My dad was actually a firefighter, had a nuclear power plant, so he had to do those kind of physical tests a lot too.
Did he like accidentally gain superpowers over the course of any of those tests, or are you not allowed to say?
No, he was. I'm not allowed to say that, but yeah, they had to do the whole thing with the fake burning building, carrying the hose, everything, just in case there was ever a fire. He worked at Bruce Nuclear, so I guess that was sort of like an inspiration, because you watch him have to do all that physical stuff. And he wasn't a fireman; he just he'd be a first responder if there was an emergency.
So does that mean that there's a possibility that you might have like a goblin version of your dad in the background doing some of these obstacle courses himself? Just
Bogra will be the only one so far doing the obstacle. She's the only goblin in the human kingdom right now in this one, so far in the story.
So backers will have to wait until maybe book 5 if they want to be included in as a goblin or something in the story, maybe as an underboss or villain.
Yeah, it's a possibility that there will be a lot more goblins in book 3 and 4 showing up. So if that's something people want, message me on note on Instagram, or I'll have more contacts, Twitter and Facebook set up as well too soon. And I'll put those links on Instagram if you want to reach out.
Certainly, or you could, people can reach out to you here and
yes,
as well.
Yes. I read all those comments as well.
That's excellent. Yeah, because I've noticed, I've done it myself. I've included some people as like background characters. I've had certain scenes where I could have other heroes show up and be a part of the background, and it turns out some of my backers are also in the story as heroes in the background, and it's a thing. People seem, you don't need to do a lot. You could just do one, but it's a thing that's very unique to crowdfunding, right? And it's something that people seem to respond to, like to be a part of the story, or to have their nephew be part of the story or something.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious to see because it kind of brings the whole project to like another level of interactivity, right? Where not only are you in the story, you're now in the story. So I'm always curious who's willing to make that leap, not just as a backer, but as a creator, right? Who's willing to like bridge that gap in their own creation.
Yeah, people were when I went to a TCAF to sell the book, people wanted that a little drawing themselves fighting the monster with those monster drawings I was handing out too. So yeah, those little self-portraits are really popular. So that's another good idea. Thanks.
That's brilliant. I love to see that. And so we're wrapping up, right? It's an hour already, and it feels like it's only been 5 minutes.
Yeah, that flew by.
But so here's this could be our closing message from our great audience, right? May the momentum increase. It's been shared on Facebook. Everyone can link from the Crowdfundr campaign to social media. So you've got some proponents out there doing some good work for you. But is there any I figure what we can do to close everything out is play your video one last time. But before I do that, I wanted to give you oh, look at this. We have one more comment. Let's get this one in there. Like already shared on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh,
And wants to know if you're going to translate to Portuguese as it was done with Hux and the Hunters.
yes, there will be a translated one in Portuguese afterwards as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about translations as well.
Mhm.
But that, once again, not everybody has to sit in on that conversation.
Yeah.
So I just want to give you the spotlight one final time, Christian, to give you the chance to say anything else about the campaign, about the project.
Oh, yeah.
About the whole, about, life amongst goblins. Here's your
Yeah.
spotlight.
Yeah, if you were a fan of the those Don Bluth or Saturday morning cartoons, Smurfs, Gummy Bears, thanks. You want to see sort of like a continuation, or you want to, if you just want to enjoy it yourself, get a story with that similar feel, or share that with your own children, or if you want to be a cool aunt or uncle, it's a great gift. The story is going to have a great payoff at the end. If you really want to be a big spender, there will be three little plush toys might be a possibility if the interest shows up for those as well. So that's it. Please go goblin mode. Support it. Oh, I think we.
I'm muted because I
Yeah.
wanted you to have the floor. Not muted anymore. So I just wanted to thank you, Christian, for taking some time out to, give folks a real presentation and to really like tell everyone, here what the Goblin Knight means to you. So we're gonna end this stream shortly. So I want to thank all of my viewers who've joined us. I'm going to play a couple of videos to close us out. So let me just get that one set up, and then we could wish folks a farewell. So I'll see you around on KCU, Christian, and I have more questions for you about goblins and monsters and all, but we'll do that in the socials, DMs, or IMs or whatever. So, but officially speaking, let me wish you lots of luck, continued luck on this campaign.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. So folks, stay tuned. We have a couple of videos to play, but we'll say bye to Christian now.
Hi there, I'm Christian Nelson, and I'm looking for your help to continue my story, The Goblin Knight. I've been dreaming up this 4-part story for years. Now it is all written, the first book is done, and it's time to move on to book 2.
This all-ages story was inspired by those fantasy movies where evil overlords boss around their faceless goons, like the Goblin King in Labyrinth or Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. It got me thinking, what's it like for those disposable minions? And what if one of them stood up to their tyrannical boss? That's where Bogra comes in. She's a kind, brave, and outgoing goblin guard who wants to protect her fellow goblins from the humans they've been told want to invade. But when she angers the king of the goblins, she finds herself banished to the terrifying human kingdom. Bogra quickly learns what she's been told about humans is wrong, and that humans also have the wrong idea about goblins. She befriends a human named Camilla and her brother Derek. Bogra believes she can help goblins and humans live in harmony, but she will have to convince the human king of her good intentions. To do this, she has 1 year to become a knight, to prove herself honorable and trustworthy.
I am really excited about bringing this story to life. I really believe in it. It has both lovable characters and characters you will love to hate. It has tales of friendship, comedy, mystery, and adventure. The first book is done, and I have also tackled a project this big before. Last year, I finished a 159-page comic book called Hux and the Hunters. And with your help, I can finish my second book and get it into the hands of more readers and move closer to completing the story of Bogra, the Goblin Knight. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll join us on this adventure.
Kids Comics Unite is a friendly, free community of children's graphic novel creators who are serious about improving their work and building their careers. This month, we're excited to highlight some of our members' crowdfunding campaigns as part of our partnership with crowdfundr.com. Our very own Patrick Lugo will be hosting these streams. Patrick